All right, welcome back to Things Reasons, the independent podcast for Australian IT leaders. That's right, we're back, and it would be remiss of me not to ask my co-host Naren what he did on the weekend.
Oh, look, thanks for asking. So every year there's a local bike race. It's called the Bob and Head Classic. It's organised by a dear friend of mine. His name's Tony McClellan. He's 88 years old. He still rides as well. He gets out on an e-bike. We sat behind him doing 60k an hour. He's going to get booked one of these days because he's got one of these. I shouldn't mention that out loud, but here we
Allegedly.
are. So he organises this bike race. There's about 1,000 punters that enter the 100k version. There's other versions for friends and family and all the rest of it. And of that, I reckon there's probably about 15, let's say, semi-serious punters, me included. Now, the last 2 times I've won it.
Oh, wow.
Right? Somebody has to cross the line first. So I went about the same thing on Sunday. When we got up the first hill, the Bob and Head climb, there are only 7 of us left. And then we carried that through to the last climb, which is the Acuna climb. There's me and 2 young guys got away, a couple of under 19-year-olds and 47-year-old Naren. And we took that almost to the line. 3 guys caught up when the lights didn't play nicely with us. And I crossed the line about half a wheel behind the first guy.
Incredible effort. Was it number 2 out of 1,000?
Something like that.
Yeah. Utter dominance.
Well,
I
look,
expect nothing less.
yeah. Now, my legs have been cramped and destroyed ever since. I slept for 12 hours on Sunday night. It was great. I woke up, it felt like I came out of hibernation. I was half asleep all Monday.
Obviously, we do have a guest with us today. We do have a guest with us today. I'd like to introduce Jason Serda. Now, I think a lot of our listeners will actually know Jason or know of Jason's. It's overdue that Jason joins us on the podcast. Jason has spent 25 years at the sharp end of the tech industry, building businesses, scaling them and selling them. He founded his 4th company, Bluefire, and sold it to global tech giant Dimension Data before taking on a role as global CTO at NTT, where he commercialized over 20 enterprise SaaS products into hundreds of enterprise clients worldwide. And today, he's the founder and managing partner of Utility Group, a Sydney and US-based venture firm that invests in, advises, and accelerates high-growth Australian tech businesses, with a particular focus on helping Aussie founders crack the US market. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Come on.
And with $150 million invested, over 50 companies backed, and 13 successful exits under his belt. That's a pretty impressive track record. He's one of Australia's most active and connected voices at the intersection of tech, venture, and global scale-up. Welcome, Jason Serda.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so good. Come on.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're pumped. And Jay, I'm going to get us going. Tell us one thing that we should know about you and one thing about the investment world that's a big secret that nobody tells you until you're in it.
I think the personal thing is I want to be a kid in a toy store. So I think that I've worked very hard to kind of build and surround myself with amazing people that I enjoy to be with every day. And we work relentlessly and incredibly hard. But the key thing is kind of surrounding yourself with really good people. And I think that's something that in personal and work, it goes hand in hand. I think that I'm also a builder. So, I refer to the builder, like, I don't know if I liked Lego back in the day, like getting back when you're a kid, but it's the building of Lego? Something, And I think that that's kind of extended. Yeah, who doesn't like Lego, right?
Yeah,
but,
right.
But I think that the concept here is the building phase, which I refer to from a work context to that 0 to 50 million in ARR and operating in that space when businesses are still building. And then the second question is around investment. Just to let everyone know, it is incredibly challenging, right? You have to be relentless. It's about how many times you can get up from being knocked down. It's never a straight line. it does require absolute determination. And I think that from an investment perspective, you really do need to be relentless. Yeah. Nobody told me that, so I kind of plodded my way along and kind of got knocked down and got back up. But you got to be relentless.
Well, listen, it's fantastic to have you on the podcast. I think you're going to be able to tell a story here that for the most people, they're not really exposed to. I'm sure some of our audience has some exposure to the startup world. There's all sorts of lexicon and language and process and things that you do that I think is a mystery to many. I'm sure we've all sat back in our armchairs at home thinking, oh, that's a cool idea. I wonder if that would work on the open market. I wonder whether I would have the courage or the bravery to kick something off myself, and what would that involve? I reckon we might want to reflect on the Australian market right now, because it kind of feels like something's going on here, right? And I just want to read out some stats. So let's see, the first 2 months of 2026, Australia hit $503 million of funding across 25 rounds, and that was up 25% on the previous period in the previous year. So what's going on there, right? Is this just a remarkable time to be alive? What's happening now? Clearly, there's some obvious things that we can talk about that might have something to do with it. But what's your take on it right now in Australia? It's this fever pitch. What's going on?
I think good businesses are always getting funded, right? Full stop, right? I think that the good ones, we've seen some of them get tailwinds very quickly. I think that Australia punches above our weight. So I think we are seen very positively from both US investors, US VC funds. Singapore right now has more family offices per capita than any other place in the world, right? So you've definitely got positive tax benefits and other for them to invest in the Australian market. So I think that you're starting to see some of that, and obviously, they still have some. That they want to see those businesses enter the US market to address the size of market issue.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I still think there's an awful lot of interest. And I think that, the projected size of the Australian startup market is due to grow. So I think by 2034, I think that, you're talking about up to 4.5 billion, in CAGR, 8.74% growth. There's definitely an inflection point that's happening. You're starting to see some real traction.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a lot of active VC funds now. So a lot of opportunity, right?
Look, I mean, the elephant in the room, let's just say it for the first time on the podcast. I'm wondering how many startups you're likely to see in the next 6 to 12 months that aren't in some way related to artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I think AI now is in everything that we touch. Right. I mean, I was referring to this earlier today that my friend Claude and I, a very close personal relationship. My Mac Mini is operating using a Claude Cowork at home right now, replying to my emails. You can do more and more things now. It really is next level. So I think the expectation on a startup is you need to embrace that, which I think is challenging, right? It's challenging for people that have been operating in a certain way to start adopting AI in the right way that helps you keep your businesses lean. Here's a statistic for you. Yeah. They say to get to 10 million ARR in an AI first world, you need 15 to 20 people.
Right.
In the old school way of operating, that would be 50 to 70 people to get to 10 million ARR, right? So, how do you make the money last longer? I think that your friends and family round, especially in Australia, is longer. So what that means is that it's like VCs and investors want to see more traction before they invest.
Yes.
And as a result, I think the challenge with that is you need the money to go longer.
Got it.
And you need to get more traction or at least more validation points of that.
Just for our audience there too, and again, going back to the point that there's a lot of sort of concepts and language here that's inherent to your life and the way you work. And you're talking about a friends and family round. What's going on with that?
Friends and family round is usually the first money into any of these startups.
Right.
It's where you're going to go to people that are going to really trust you as an individual rather than the concept. So I go to my dad and say, hey, Dad, I'm going to do this. It's that type of profile. You're going to go to your close relationships. And I think that once you get more traction and validation and revenue and other things ticking over, it's easy to go to investors that you don't know for those follow-on rounds. So I think that is a longer process than what it was 2 years ago, and probably now and longer than again 2 years prior to that.
And just to follow on from that, ARR, and annual recurring revenue. Some of our listeners will be familiar with that, but this is a common measure of success in sort of B2B tech or SaaS or these kinds of businesses.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, it's designed around recurring revenue. So basically, when you wake up at the first of the month in any of these type of businesses, you automatically are already billing your MRR, which is your monthly recurring revenue. And then if you multiply that by 12, you get your ARR. Yep. And that's a keen indication of success of some of these businesses. And it's interesting though, some businesses we see, they have maybe professional services that enable, they may have other CapEx that's required in delivering the service, but often we'll only concentrate on the MRR or ARR.
That's the big prize that all these founders and investors are chasing.
It's the sticky part of the, every month you start, you've got that revenue, right? You don't have to do anything to get it. Yeah. So I think that's very compelling. You want to build big businesses with big MRR and big ARR.
Got it.
Yep.
Jay, this stat around needing less people to start a business, that sounds to me like investor expectations now. AI is now putting an expectation in terms of where capital is going to be deployed. Capital will be deployed into businesses that reduce their overheads through the clever use of AI.
Yep.
That has implications in startup land. It means it should, in theory, if you adopt AI and you have some maturity and invest in AI capability, that's a good thing for your business. Is that also perhaps in bigger capital markets or for larger organizations, there's a similar effect? So think about something that's publicly listed, billion-dollar market cap. Is there pressure now from investors on executives of those businesses to run leaner and less headcount through the use of AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's every business needs to consider all those elements. I mean, even for running, our VC funds, we have about 80 to 90 startups that would approach us on any calendar month. Those decks go into our system. AI will assess them against mandate, against the funds. It'll then complete our questionnaire. If it doesn't get all the answers from their pitch deck, it'll email them without me even being involved in order to ask them the questions that are missing.
Yep.
It then will go and write an investment memo and score it against the mandate and provide a recommendation. And then in addition to that, it'll create a small automated podcast that gives me a 5-minute summary of those points. Yeah?
Yes.
Before I get involved. And then we look at the scoring, we try and determine if it's on mandate and it makes sense. But I mean, that's just day in the life, right? Mm. But I am now using AI, I refer to my friend Claude, to do simple stuff. Yesterday, I wanted to reprint all the logos on the entry of our office in Bondi Junction, right? And there's 40 odd logos or something on the wall. And so I just went to Claude and said, Claude, can you go download all the logos for all our portfolio companies, print them in an A4 on a landscape side and print them. So Claude went and built an app using Claude Code and set up the thing.
Unprompted.
And then I just pressed the button and print. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, how cool is that?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
And so there was a time when you'd probably get a grad or someone to go muck around with that for you, right?
So No, look, 100%. I mean, I've got some mates that work for some institutional investors. Yeah. Hopefully one of them's listening to this because I want to talk about it with him afterwards.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that one of them have a real bottleneck with human beings and the way they evaluate the opportunities coming in.
Yeah.
They have these single points of choke, whereby if the human being doesn't have the time or the bandwidth to evaluate something, you can guarantee the opportunities passing them by. And if they had a better way to do the things that you're describing, right, to ask the basic questions and get under the covers of every opportunity such that when you do have time, you're evaluating the right things in the right moment. If you're not doing that, then they are inherently disadvantaged, right? And in your game particularly, you probably don't want to miss a really good opportunity, right?
We're typically making one investment a month, and we will see 80 to 90 every month. So even we struggle to read them all.
Sure.
So how are they going to stay out of the crowd?
Yeah.
You know, I think is a real issue. And I think that, you know, AI is just part of the makeup, but it's going to be harder for conventional businesses to raise money if you don't have that strategy and that consideration, right?
I think that what that translates to for me is investors are looking for very efficient use of their capital.
Yeah.
To get a return.
100%.
And there's a reasonable expectation now, and it's becoming firmer, that businesses will activate on those efficiencies with AI. It's expected.
6 or 7 years ago, 5 years ago even, like there was people were quite comfortable in the forever burn, where you were burning money. Burn's another good one, which is
we should talk about that.
Losing, which is basically your revenue. The burn is the difference between your revenue top line and your cost base.
Right.
So if your cost base is more than your top line revenue, you're burning, and then there's a percentage of burn. So there was a time where you were forever dependent on the next raise, which means that you had an acceptable level of burn. Yeah. And I think we're all happy to invest and spend money in order to get to a goal. But I think that the ability for us to drop below the line is only for a period, right? So before, I think that there was extended periods of burn that people would accept in the name of growth. Okay?
Yeah, it's expected. We've got a war chest.
We're going to spend the money.
We're going to spend the money, and that money's gone, but it will increase the enterprise value of the company.
Stay with us. Don't lose faith.
That's,
We've got this.
Yeah,
and growth will solve all problems.
All problems.
Yeah, and if we run out, we'll raise again.
And wipe away our sins.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wipe away our sins by raising money, and then it's like those sins never happen, right?
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter now is that this current market doesn't give you that same ability anymore. You can't wipe away all your sins. And I think as a result of that, you know, like a new verbiage has come up, which is profit in months, not years, which is another interesting thought process. So, you know, we're happy to invest, but profit always needs to be on the horizon. And I think the takeaway there is you got to build real businesses, you know, not businesses that are dependent on the next raise. And I think that's kind of where that's evolved to.
So for the different startup leaders, because I think going back to one of my original points here, and that is that we all come up with ideas. It could be riding the bike, it could be having a shower, whatever it is, the drive into work, and you'll think of something and, wow, that's probably quite a cool idea. I wonder if that would work. In your opinion, and based on all these leaders, these founders that you've seen and witnessed over the years, what separates the average Joe with a good idea to someone who has the bravery to show up to someone like you and say, I think I've got something here that's worth investing in? What's the difference in making that jump?
I think that the best need to be arrogant and strong enough to choose to be a founder. I think that's true. But in addition to that, need to be open to work with others. You know, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room, that you know that you can surround yourself with really good people and work together with others in order to reach the goals. They're the ones that always win, right? I think the ones that just want the money and have all the answers and will want to go do it themselves, sometimes they will succeed, but in my opinion, the best ones are the ones that will work collaboratively, are open to other people's feedback, and will work collaboratively in order to drive those outcomes, you know?
Yeah, I think that's so true. Nobody can do it all themselves.
Yeah.
Although I've seen some press recently suggesting that perhaps one person with the help of AI agents can do it all themselves, and we're entering an era where an owner-founder could create the next $1 billion unicorn Canva or something by themselves. Do you buy into that?
Well, Y Combinator came out and just said that, they used to mandate 2 founders, right? Technical founder and commercial founder. Now they're saying, well, you can do it with 1, right? So that's a pretty big change. But I agree with you that I still think like you need the right elements around you to set that up for success. Can I give you an example, an AI-specific example? They also say that now the modern AI-first organization or startup has very good product management, has a solid data scientist, and then has a rule set for how you want to build software, right? So to the technical people audience out there, that's a Claude.md file, which kind of defines the rule set associated with how you build software using AI or in an AI-first world. But if you have those ingredients, you don't necessarily need a large-scale development team. But you need to be clever enough in order to set it up well, because the ones that do it badly, I can tell you what happens. You get lots of bugs all the time. It's done very poorly, a poor client experience. You end up building stuff because it's easy to build that people don't want. So how do you surround yourself with the right mix of people to help you get to those right outcomes?
Yeah, so it still takes a team and a diverse set of lived experiences.
10 million ARR now is 15 to 20 people now, right? So there's still elements of doing that right.
Look, culture's a word that shows up all the time, right?
Yep.
All businesses strive to have a great working culture, and we hear things like it starts from the top and culture eats strategy for breakfast and all the rest of it. Jono, you and I both know, and Jay, I'm sure you're the same, that it's a lifestyle choice, this thing. When you commit yourself wholly to something, it's not a 9-to-5 discipline. It occupies every aspect of your mind. And to be honest with you, balancing life with that as well, it becomes crucially important so you don't lose your damn mind.
Yeah.
Right? You've got to keep yourself room to relax and break the thought cycle and chill out. And there's various ways that you can do that, of course.
That's right.
Right? But it's super important. But I think if you're going to commit yourself wholly to something like that, personally, I'd want to be surrounded by people who are the same as me. I would want people around me that I trust 100%, that are as driven as I am, because frankly, you need that to feel confident that you're doing the right thing, right? You're heading in the right direction, and you need to sense check your ideas and to keep yourself grounded and having faith in what you're doing. And I don't know how you do that on your own.
That's the kid in the toy store, man, right? That's the kid in the toy store. Like, I think at the end of the day, you have the right people around you to help you do this. It's got to be fun. Like, I hope my kids can find something that they love, that they're amazing at, that they can make money at doing. But I really hope that they be the kid in the toy store, that they find something that could do. I'm confident that I'll continue doing this until I die, right? Like, that is the way that I see it. But a lot of that's about the people that I do that with, right? But I think, there's super clever people out there. You just got to be open, and this AI native stuff, right? A lean team of 3 to 5 people with the right AI stack can now accomplish what previously was done by 20 engineers, right?
That has huge implications.
It does.
There's so many places you can take that conversation.
Yeah.
And I think in my experience, and certainly we've had lots of conversations about this on the show, but also in people that Naren and I meet, I kind of experienced two different viewpoints on this. One is an incredibly optimistic view, which is, wow, like what a time to be alive, to be in business, human progress, the ability to scale and accelerate is like nothing we've ever seen before in human history.
Yeah.
It's a huge opportunity. And then there's the doom and gloom people.
Yes.
Which is, oh my God, well, what about so you just said that 50% of engineers aren't going to have a job anymore. How do you address those? Because you would meet those two types of people as well. How do you tackle that?
I think it's like a third, and I think the revolution is bigger than the internet, right? So I think a third will embrace and drive that to success. A third will kind of deal with it and manage, and a third will have to change, right? And I think that's kind of the way these big industrial revolutions typically have operated on. But But I think it's daunting. It's daunting for everyone because, like the way that we have typically worked over the last 25 years, you have to be open to embracing change. And I think it's going to touch all aspects of how we do things. I mean, I have this challenge now. We have people we have put into some portfolio businesses that are still doing things the way that they have done them for the last 25 years. And when I reflect on that, I'm thinking, oh, geez, like how do we keep the business lean? How do we maintain profits, in this AI world? And how do we remain competitive when our competitors are going to be able to accelerate? The development portions are commoditizing. If you know what you're doing, that's the reality. So I think that, that AI implications, people need to be comfortable or more comfortable with change. And I think people need to be open to where they source to get help. Like we've spent huge amounts of time and energy and people power to try and help our portfolios solve the AI. What does AI mean for me? How do I execute on it? How do I remain lean? Like forever now, it's very hard for them to, where do they go for that?
Yeah.
I think that's real challenge.
Yeah, because a lot even like the big consulting firms are struggling with this as well. So it's where do you go if you're a founder? And
they're dropping people, right, John?
Yeah, that's right. And I don't think many VCs have the benefit of having someone who, like you, who's developed product and software for 20 years, who is probably an early adopter of some of this stuff. Like I wouldn't have built an agent to go and print the stuff. I probably would have my natural instinct would have been to plot along and go and snip the. Yeah, right. I'm happy to admit it. Like I'm getting there, right? I'm not as advanced, but you need to actually push yourself and get uncomfortable.
That's right.
And think about through that lens of how can I solve this problem with AI in my business? Because if you're not thinking about it, your competitors are.
Well, they're the hardest things to change, those inherent human behaviours and habits and things that we've built. And more importantly, our brain tells us to do it the same way again because, by God, it's worked for us in the past.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So why would you change it now, Jono? You're 40-something years old, probably.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Change is hard.
Right.
Change is hard. I used to know a guy who taught me a lot about sales, and he said human beings are naturally resistant to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would it take for me to, like, if I ask you, when you get out of bed in the morning, which sock do you put on first? Is it the left one or the right one? Everyone will have a sock. Okay, so let's just say it's the left one.
Yeah.
What would it take to get you to wake up tomorrow morning and put the right one on?
Can I tell you a harder decision?
It's actually hard.
A lot of my socks now have a left and a right. And the decision I have to face is when I pick up the right one to put it on the left foot, do I commit anyway? I don't care.
Yeah.
Or do I feel bad about it all day?
Do you believe they're actually different?
Yes, I do. Why else would they put the word on there?
Is that a conformist, John?
We think, but possibly.
I must be walking less comfortably. It must be.
And so maybe an agent can help you with that.
If you make that decision at the start of the day, you've ruined your whole day.
And so you're right. And so change for human beings is incredibly hard.
And I think people are naturally lazy as well. I don't say that in a negative way. I think, it's like if they have to go to one extra element of effort, that can be hard, right? You've got so many different choices now. Now that we've got phones with screens, they have so many different optionality to go seek something else, right? I think that's so true. So, I think that people need to embrace change. They need to be more open to it. But I guess it's part of that. It goes back to the kid in the toy store. If you can surround yourself with amazing people that can help you solve some of these problems, like AI is not going away. Where are you going to go to get it, right? And find out how to do it, but do it properly. Because there's also the ones that are, you can build an app now, in a second. We can, I had a startup that I was talking to them about an app I wanted to build, and they built it for me while I was on the phone while they were presenting to me. They were asking me questions and then just hear the keys go, And I think that's the world we're in now. But, if you don't apply product management and data science and deal with privacy and how you manage privacy, and you don't apply what I've been calling a rubric, which is the rule set for how you build AI software and AI first. This rubric concept. It's just a rule set, right? Sure. A rule set around building software. We like back in the NTT days, we had Service Layer, which was a a bunch of Lego blocks that we reused when we were building software. And it eventually was like 40 bits of Lego. And when we wanted to build a new service, we used to assemble them. But we used to operate on a very specific rule set on how you build software. And so that rule set incredibly accelerated how we did things. It made us nimble. We were able to move fast, and we were able to reuse these components. And I think the same logic can be applied in the adoption of an AI first world. And if you take that type of concept, I think that, you're going to go far, right? Truly.
Speaking of going far, if you're a founder right now, you got a great idea.
Yeah.
And maybe you're a bit bootstrapped. There's another word for our listeners, which means you used your own money first. And you want to do your first raise.
Yep.
And maybe they're thinking about talking to utility because they've watched the podcast.
Of course,
I think that'd be a good idea.
Come on.
All right. Is this a good moment to make the leap? Is this a good time in the market to do it? Is the capital out there? Are conditions favorable? And how would you then evaluate a good business? Let's say they made it through the AI, the gatekeepers. So maybe you've touched on that a little bit. What would get you to decide to back that founder?
I think that there's an amazing questionnaire that we talk about a lot. This questionnaire wasn't actually my questionnaire. It was a questionnaire that was developed from very many smarter VCs. I'm actually mentored by a guy out of the US, incredibly clever guy. He's got 4 or 5 billion under management. He uses this questionnaire. Okay, it asks the questions that every VC wants to know. And when you have those initial conversations, we end up asking the same questions in multiple different ways to get to the answers that are on the questionnaire, right? So the questionnaire is readily available if you know where to look. If you come to me and you answer those questions and you're crystal in relation to your thought process and answering every one of these questions, who is your customer? Yeah. Who has the pain that you are solving for? These are fundamental problems that help you nail the value proposition. The number of people come to me and go, we don't know who your client is.
Right.
Yeah.
You got a great idea, but who's going to buy?
Yeah. Who's going to pay you for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, then there's sustainable value. So some services that we see, great value up front, but how do you sustain value over time? Yeah. So that in 6 months, so a lot of people will sign up, get the value and leave. They can't sustain the value over time. So these are incredibly important questions that need to be considered. So I think part of my thought process is do your research, know your audience, fill in the questionnaire before you come and step in there. Because when you come into those meetings are more about evaluation of founders. Are they good people? Are they willing to learn? Are they willing to do the hard yards? Are they relentless? Are they good people that are willing to work together to drive the right outcomes? And I think the funding, the best scenario, if you want to go out to a pre-revenue VC, be prepared to dilute a lot. So dilution is you sell more of your company, the more diluted you are.
There's more risk, obviously, for the investor.
That's right, more risk, so they're going to want a lower val.
Of course.
And as a result, you get more dilution. So if I was a up-and-coming startup at early stages, I would embrace the friends and family round. I would come up with and confirm a plan. I would raise the least amount of money that I needed in order to get to maybe a VC round. Yeah? So what do I need? What's the minimum that I need to get to that next round, which is proof points, validation, so that when you sit down with a VC, you've answered all questions, you can demonstrate traction, you can demonstrate some revenue, maybe not a lot of revenue, but some. And, you've got real paying clients that really value what you do over time.
And so I think that's such practical advice. And again, with the lexicon for our listeners who aren't familiar, VC is venture capital. So this is money that people invest into businesses that are very early in their journey, which means if you back a winner, the rewards are better, but the risk is higher for the investor.
A classic VC investor wants to get a 10 times return on their money.
Right. So if they put $1 in, they'd like to get 10 back.
On what
Correct.
typical term?
Well, typically, most VC funds are probably between 5 to 7 years, like investment cycle. Our investment cycle is 7 years, but depends on the stage of investment. If you go early, they tend to be longer.
Yeah.
Our new fund we're gearing up for now will aim to provide liquidity in 3 years, so it's shorter.
Liquidity is when the shares turn into actual cash back in your bank.
When somebody buys the business and we get money back to investors.
Liquidity events.
Which is very important. At the end of the day, our investors have an expectation that money is going to be returned, and that can't be forever as well. I had an investor say to me, Jason, I'll be dead in 10 years, like that kind of commentary. Look, at the end of the day, you need to be able to bring money back into investors' pockets. That's key. Yeah. So we work very hard at that. And sometimes those exits are engineered. What does engineered mean? We get on the phone, we call the likely buyers, and we hunt for exits. Right? Truly.
Sell
Truly.
the business.
We'll sell a business, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. So that everything requires work and effort.
How much is one of these meetings like the show Shark Tank?
I like to think that it's a little bit more personal than
If
Shark Tank.
Founder shows up, is it like you and 3 guys?
Sorry to all the Shark Tank people out there. No, but I mean, I
heard words like arrogant and confidence and things like that. That's what I've taken away.
Should they be scared of this meeting? Like, is it an intimidating meeting?
No, not at all. Actually, I am more available and accessible than most people realise. I try and take an approach that...
Is that you or Claude? Let's be clear.
Well, yeah, even me. If you're clever enough, you'll get me.
Yeah.
But I think the thought process is I nurture the network. I work really hard. I'm always there to help others. And I think that comes back in kind 10 times over. And I think that, reach out, and I'll always try and help wherever I possibly can. But I always appreciate the people that do the hard yards and do the research and understand their audience, and answer the questionnaire and do all of that. But to answer your question around, is this meetings daunting? No. If anything, they're relationship driven. We sit down and we try and understand. We try to get to know people. At the end of the day, it's like a marriage. You're going into a long-term relationship with these people. And I think that the ones that we work very hard at have been long-lasting relationships, right? They're the best ones.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely about the people. So if you're an aspiring founder, don't be intimidated by this process.
No. And you're in more control, Jono, than you realise. I think sometimes it takes time to work out that, you're not waiting for somebody to give you something. It's on you to step up and take control of your circumstance. And I think people don't realise that they're more in control, than they think they are.
Great.
That's true.
Great practical advice. Fills us all with confidence. Our $1 billion side hustles.
That's right.
They're out there. They're ready. And Jay, we've got three quick fire questions for you. Naren's going to hit you with them.
All right.
Let's
you ready?
go.
Get ready.
Yeah, let's
do
go.
it. All right. We expect honesty and transparency from you here, Jay. All right, mate?
Sure. I'm all out there.
It's a safe place.
Let's go. Safe place.
All right, let's go.
Safe
Question number 1. What's the one piece of advice you'd give your past self before taking on a major tech initiative or investment?
Perfect one for Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, be brave, be bold, swing bigger.
Swing big.
Yeah, I think that knowing what I know now, I think having the courage to get out there and do that, I think it took me too long to realise, I can really do this. And I think when I stepped out of NTT, which was a big thing in 2019, when I reflect on that journey, and you step out of a successful, large scale job or whatever. I think that you got to have the confidence and be relentless, right? And I think before I realised that I was back to where I was before I even knew it. Right?
So Jay, is this, and it's great advice by the way, is this the luxury of someone who can afford to do it, right? And I say that carefully because, cost of living and people are working hard and they're paying bills, they're paying mortgages, right?
Yeah.
So is there a path for somebody who is more exposed to that than less as well?
Well, I think like everything, like there's people around. You don't have to do it by yourself.
Right.
I'm a firm believer in surrounding yourself with good people, right? I think that's a thing. I think that, there are friends and family around you based on the relationships you have that you can go to in order to support. And if these ideas are truly, truly good, you will get support from those people.
Got it.
And I think that you got to be courageous. Give yourself an opportunity to prove out something that you have conviction in.
Yeah.
And if you sign up to a plan and you've got conviction in it and the people around you have got conviction in it, then I think you can really do it, right? I mean, there is a little bit of crazy in there, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, and I think...
It's not for everyone, right? Let's be clear.
No, and I think, like, I'm a tech investor, right? So I look for stuff that we have an unfair advantage in order to invest in. So, we're investing in deep tech, critical tech, data centers, AI.
Sure.
Like this is stuff that we have built over time, that we have a lot of experience in, and we have relationships all around us everywhere that we can kind of bring in.
Yes.
And I think, so we call that unfair advantage, but the unfair advantage is when we're investing in something, we already know who we can sell it to. We've already got relationships that can materially help these businesses be successful.
It's mechanical almost at that point, isn't it?
Yeah, but invest in what you know.
Sure.
So to that person that's coming out looking to, embrace something that they're passionate about, invest in the elements that you know really well and that you have conviction in. Invest where you've got those relationships around you that you can do so well with.
Love it.
It's that stuff. It's so hard to have that depth.
Yeah.
People do really well in that space. Yeah.
Great advice, mate. This is a good one for you. You spent a bit of time at the top, right? In a pretty big business.
Yeah.
What's something that you used to believe in tech leadership that you no longer believe in? You probably had some preconceptions about what it's like at the top and when you got there. What don't you believe anymore?
I think we were arrogant, right? Like, we were back in the day, we were building cloud before it was cloud. Yeah. So, we were like, who's these Amazon guys? Come on, we can do it better than them. Yeah, we can do it better than them. You know who we are.
I've heard this before.
I've
heard this somewhere
you remember
else.
It, right?
I was there.
We were there together, and we were arrogant, but we were bold, and we still built a very big business in and around that tech. But I think that I see a lot of startups that show me this amazing UI and they get really excited about it, and then I ask a couple of key questions. Give me the login statistics of your tech. And, we can see either very low engagement or no one logs in. And you go, what the hell is that about? Mm-hmm. Or, let me ask you another. This is one of the best ratios that just bring tears to many startup founders' eyes. What is the maximum money that you've raised divided by the amount of ARR that you have?
Maximum money divided by the annual recurring
So you've raised
revenue.
$1 million.
Yes.
And you've got 100,000 ARR.
Right.
Say.
Yes.
Okay. So what that is a determinant of is your execution capability. So for every dollar that I give you, Aaron,
yes,
how much ARR are you going to give me?
Keeps it honest, doesn't it?
Come on.
Can't hide from the numbers. Can't hide from the numbers.
And investors leave and go back to their 9 to 5.
No, but
happy to have tried.
Yeah.
But I think
Good luck to them.
Yeah, but I think some of these statistics, like investors are not silly though as well.
No.
Right? But I think part of this is how do you get to the right place? But I think, look, the more informed you are and the better understanding you have, is spend the money like it's yours. Like these investors are giving you, they want you to spend it in a wise way.
Yeah.
And we're entering a new world, an AI first world, that you want to be spending that money wisely.
So if I play that back to you, saying there was a time in perhaps your tech leadership career where you were leading perhaps with a bit of hubris or arrogance, and if you had you a bit wiser now,
Yeah.
it's focus more on certain metrics and be a bit more brutal about the value of what it is you're creating. Is that a fair?
I'm a big believer in product and the power of product and the voice of the client and building things that have intrinsic value. And sometimes when you give technical people a screwdriver, we will build you something, Jono.
Just because it's fun.
Because.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's the right stuff. Doesn't mean it's the right stuff. Doesn't mean that actually people want it.
Yeah.
But, and I think there were some elements of that where we probably were too certain of our own beliefs. And I think that, you want the right people around you to challenge you and to make sure that you're building the right stuff.
So true.
We had a concept called a zood.
Okay.
You're familiar with the zood, aren't you?
The
zone of uncomfortable discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. We would sit down in a friendly, all friends, yeah, and we would say, guys, we need to have some challenging conversations. So that kind of conversation, in the event that we were thinking we're building something that other people don't want, that's a pretty big topic, and people can get very, very emotional about that time. So we would sit down and we'd say, guys, we're calling a zood, and everyone just kind of park your emotions at the door, but we want to have some really tough conversations, yeah? But the key thing is, who is actually going to tell you that your baby is ugly? Okay?
I think people need to be told.
Right. So
for the baby's sake.
No, but I guess the thought process is, sometimes you need the right people around you to challenge you and actually stop you from making maybe some of the decisions that I made back then. Yeah, right? And if you can do that and you can have these zood conversations, that you can drive the right outcomes and you can get to building a product that is truly exceptional. Right.
Great advice, Jay. Hit us with the last one. Last question.
All right. Now, this is a 1 hour topic on its own, right? So pick something random here, something that our audience may not have thought about. What's your gut check for spotting a good investment or walking away from a bad one? Is there something that just sticks out for you when you see, oh, this is shit already, I'm out?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's all about the people, right? I think you got to start with that because, at the end of the day, you're minority investors. So you're very reliant on the founders doing the right thing. You have to use influence rather than command and control. PE people, like I always used to say, private equity people can often breed bad behavior, right? But I think that they've got the battle scars of working, and when things don't go right, that's when things can be challenging. So I think part of it is, in the world that I operate in, we're minority investors. We need to use influence in order to drive the right behaviours. Yeah. So a lot of that comes down to the relationship with the founders and making sure that we can have challenging conversations and that we can kind of work through any issues because nothing is a straight line. Every one of these engagements are riddled with challenges and problems.
Got it. Does that mean that sometimes you'll sit down and it's immediately obvious to you, at least in the moment, that you're not gelling with an individual and it's going to be a hard road ahead? Does that happen?
Definitely.
Right. Got it.
And I'm usually pretty casual, but I think part of that is, we want to know that these people want to work together. And we do get people. I have had many people that just said, look, Jason, you're a nice guy, but I just want the money. And, that's just not the type of investor that I want to be. So, the outcomes we get, it's all about the people.
Great. Well, look, you've done well on those questions. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And look, I think that's been a great episode. I've learnt an incredible amount from you, Jay. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Before we wrap, though, there is one thing we need to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about the Rule of 40. You're launching your own podcast. What's going on there?
Well, I'm following you boys' path to kind of get out.
Did we inspire you?
You did inspire me. You
really?
Definitely, right? Like we in 2026... We're trying to get out there and have something to say. Mm-hmm. I think that we want to we've been poor in advocating for ourselves, right? Like we're good at advocating for our portfolio companies, but actually getting out there and advocating for ourselves. So I think part of this is we want to get out there and have these kind of conversations. I feel like we've got something to say. I feel like we want to hunt for our people out there, investors and portfolio companies alike, who are wanting to work together in order to go do great things.
Yes.
In 2026 as well, we're launching our new fund, which will be our later stage fund, which is about doubling down on the businesses that are working, that are succeeding in their local markets, that are entering the US market and international markets. And we have an amazing portfolio of amazing founders that are kind of reaching that level of maturity.
Get your pitch decks ready.
Come on,
Jay's got
right?
coin.
Yeah,
Come
let's go.
on. So I think that as much as we love to hear our own voice at times, I think it's good to be able to get out there and try to share more of that. So, you guys definitely inspired. You guys have been doing it for a bit and doing it so well.
Thank
so
you.
thank you so
You're
much.
very kind, Jay.
Very kind.
Very kind. Well, we're looking forward to the first episode of Rule of 40 dropping.
It's coming out within weeks.
Weeks.
It's coming. Oh, it's already out now. Remember,
It's already
we're
out.
It's already
in the
out.
future.
Okay.
We're in the future. We're time travelers on things, reasons. Well, I learned a lot. I think there's some great stats in there. I love the Zood meeting.
Oh yeah.
I think we need more of them.
Yeah.
We need more of them. Product market fit is a real thing, and bad product market fit kills your business. So I love that one, and surrounding yourself with good people.
Be brave. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
You
Swing bigger, right?
You control more than you think you do.
That's it.
Get out there. Reach out. Happy to help in any way.
Thank you, Jay.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jay. Naren, where can our listeners find the show?
Wherever you find your podcasts, we are, of course, Things Reasons. We are published on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. We're, of course, on YouTube. Good luck avoiding us on LinkedIn, right? That's our platform now, all right,
Yeah,
for our own broadcasting
We're
reasons.
everywhere.
We are everywhere. We are, of course, produced by Prue Loon, Karina Aguilera. We've got the wonderful Sophie as well out of South America. You can reach us at prue@thingsreasons.show. Reach us for everything and anything. And thank you once again for listening in.
Thanks
you
so
for listening.
much, guys.
Thanks,
Good on you.
everyone.